Welcome to GodZone. I'm Robin Corn, and this is a super quick tutorial on how to create aerial images, aerial photo scenery from the images available on the Land Information New Zealand site. Now, I may appear to be glossing over stuff here, but that's only because I can go on and on, and I don't want this video to take longer than 20 minutes. So this is the LINZ site. The part we want is the LINZ data service, which looks like this. Now they have a huge selection of data for New Zealand, especially, which you can search using the browse button. You can search different categories. Our main interest is going to be aerial photos here, and you can search regions. Which is quite a good way to find something if you're looking for a local area. Now I've already signed up for LINZ, which is why my name appears up here, and I'm signed on. So you would have to create an account to download images. To order images, it's really a simple matter of finding the one you want, pressing the plus button, which adds it to your map over here. You can then crop an area. Just by drawing a rectangle, and then you can download it from the LINZ site. It shows the approximate file size up here. LINZ does restrict how much you can download at once. So generally, large areas you'd need to download in sections, but smaller areas, if you were just going to grab a chunk of Taupo, that's 745 megabytes of download. Now the area we want, I've decided to do this tutorial on the small South Otago town of Balclutha. If we go to Google Earth, we can have a look and see where Balclutha is and what it looks like and why I've chosen it. It sits on the Clutha River. I'm not quite sure what its claim to fame is, but for our purposes it's ideal because it has a town and an airport within spitting distance, or a cricket ball could be hit from any one of these properties onto the airfield. So that's quite handy. It gives a nice compact area to show exactly how simple it is to grab an image from LINZ and turn it into photo scenery. Now, I've already chosen a photo. I just need to find Balclutha on my map. And here I've actually turned off the layer, but now I can turn it back on. You can turn layers off and on. As you can see, there's a kind of, this is a big missing chunk from this. This image was flown in 2013 and 2014. There are later images of the area, which join up down here, but they're kind of what I call green soup. They're not quite the quality of this image, which is another reason why I've chosen this. So to download this image, again, we just choose a chunk. We won't get too much here, just to cover the airport and the town. And then we click the download button. And here we go. Normally I'd choose an internet download. You can get them to deliver it to you, but it will cost you money. Now this thing is, I've actually made some changes to this which it retains. Generally the map projection for New Zealand is NZTM 2000, which is a specific New Zealand projection, very useful for if you're just dealing with New Zealand maps. But in our case, we need to create a scenery which is placed in to the entire world. And luckily, number 2 on the list, WGS84, is what the simulator expects. So it certainly helps to download in that projection. You can reproject, but it's easier to let Lens do it for you, which is what I've done here. You can also choose the image type. JPEG is generally suitable, and the resolution. You can cut down the file size by reducing the resolution. In this case, I want the original resolution. So really it's just a matter of pressing accept the terms, and the Lens site will create the download for me. And it will in fact email me. So I could close this and go off and do something else, because they will email me when the download is ready. It's a very nice, clean system. The Lens site certainly isn't the ideal site for choosing and selecting files, because like normally you can only draw rectangles in areas. You can't sort of type in specific coordinates, which is a problem. Now while it's downloading, we're going to look at some tools for what we do in the next step, which is to just bearing in mind that land information will cut the area into tiles and they'll zip them up. So we need something to put all those tiles back together into a full image, which we can then use for the simulator. And part of this tutorial is to show that you can use all free tools to process this free data. I won't go on too much here about the free data. Just bear in mind that it does have a license, and you are required to stick to the license. But basically, it allows you to distribute it, or even charge for it, as I do. So it's a very good license, and this is why I much prefer this to the normal flight sim method of grabbing images from the other mapping companies such as Google, who don't actually allow you to distribute it. So the tool which I'd suggest, it's not the one I use because I have a program I paid for, but the free one is QGIS, a free and open source geographic information system. It's very powerful. It's easy just to download and install. Not so easy to use, but for our purposes it's ideal because it allows us to do everything required with our data, including if you want to move on from the aerial images and start to create autogen from data. It allows you to do all of that, but you will need to learn how to use this. But in our case, we really just want to do one thing, which is combine our images into one. So I will move on to that now. I'll just stop recording for the moment, and once my download is created, we can get back into it. Now I've downloaded the file, and I have in fact extracted it to a folder, which I've just named Balclutha, make it easy to find. And this is, in fact, the how it will appear in the folder. There are a number of files. Some of them are tiles, and some of them are information to allow a GIS program to place them in the actual position. If we have a look at the JPEG files, there are in fact in that area, there are 18 files. So the idea now is to take those 18 files and combine them into a GeoTIFF. And to do that, we're going to use this program, which I mentioned before, which I've installed here, which is QGIS. And this is it. It should pop up here. Now, I've already done a run-through on this, so I sort of know it works, but I will have to say that I'm certainly not an expert in this. So this is the program as it appears when you start it up. Certainly there's not a lot which gives away how to do things. And so actually the process we want is, if I can recall, I think we go to the raster menu, miscellaneous, and choose merge. Yes, okay. Now this, you can actually do this other ways without installing this whole front end. But I find the front end a huge improvement over trying to remember all the little tools and how to call them. So this, in fact, is it just does call a merge tool down here, which you don't really need to know how it works. We just need to choose our files to input, or you can choose a folder. Now what we want to do is we want to choose the folder, so where we extracted our Balclutha images, which I've actually pre-selected to speed it up, but as you can see, you would normally need to select it, which can be a slow process. That's the trouble with this particular program, is you don't get a lot of feedback as to what it's doing. So it's sometimes easier to think that it's not doing anything. Now we just choose an output file for our GeoTIFF, which we'll just call Balclutha. And then I suppose we just run it. Now, as I said, there's nothing to show any progress here, so it's really just a matter of waiting and hoping that it works. So now I won't cover any of the details of how to create the file which is required to process this into photo scenery. But the file we'll end up with here can be dropped straight into a tool called Resample, which builds the photo scenery for the simulator. To do that, we create an INF file which tells a Resample exactly where our image belongs in the world. And but in this case, I generally use GeoTIFFs. And a GeoTIFF is a type of image which has the geographic location embedded in the file, so it knows where it is in the world. And Resample can read that and place it in the right place. But there are some drawbacks to doing it that way. That's just the way I use it. But if you can imagine, now there we go, that's actually done this. And here's our image all stitched together. So we can actually now close this program. That's all we wanted it to do, was to create that file, which it should have dropped into this folder. Which is here. It's created a 834 megabyte file, and it's a TIFF file, and it has our geographical information already embedded in it. Now, as I was saying, if you can imagine, if you wanted to color correct this image, when you save it in your graphics tool, it doesn't save the GeoTIFF information. So you normally need some way to extract that from here. Now I use a tool which is from this site, and it's a front end for a tool which just extracts the other geo information from the file, saves it to a file, and then lets you put it back when you're finished. But I would certainly recommend, there is a simpler tool than that, which I don't use, and I don't know why. And this is it here, it's on the FS developer site, and it's called GeoTIFF.inf, and it will just create an INF file for you from your GeoTIFF. So that will give you a basic INF file, which you can sort of expand on as you want to add features, like a water mask or a blend mask. But generally, what you do is you run this tool first when you create your GeoTIFF and save the INF, and then you could edit your GeoTIFF to do any color correction or tidying up. You just couldn't resize it, that's all. And then when you resave the file, it will no longer have the geo information embedded, but you would have already extracted that to your INF file. So we will in fact look at an INF file, which is one I created earlier. So this is my Balclutha INF file at its very simplest. It uses the GeoTIFF file, so I don't need to add any information here, which would have actually been inserted by that very nice FS developer tool. So this is about the minimum information I need to supply for an INF. And once I've done that, I actually, very simple process, just drag that to Resample, which I need to find. There we go. Now, Resample will take some time generally. For larger files, it can take hours. And this one here, it's probably going to take a couple of minutes. But so just to recap on, oops, didn't really want that. Just to recap on those tools, there's QGIS. I'll put a link to that on my site, or on the Flight Sim forum actually. There's GeoTIFT INF, again that will be linked, and there I will also cover the tool I use. That's another freebie. If you want to process the image and you don't have a graphics tool, a lot of Flight Sim developers recommend and use GIMP, which is a free tool and very powerful these days. So you can do most things with GIMP. I don't really use it, so I won't run through that process. But I don't know whether it can do, how easily it can do the things which I require it to do as far as photo images are concerned, like create some sort of macro to give the same color correction to a number of aerial images, or whether it can easily mask images to add water masks and things like that. But that's your job to explore that, or you can use whatever graphics tool you're used to. I use Photoshop, which does have a monthly subscription cost, which isn't really suitable if you're doing this for fun. So I might just shut this down for the moment. It's got 1.5 minutes, and to save time, I'll be back. Now, Resample's finished creating the BGL file, which includes our photo scenery, and I've dropped it into the simulator and activated it. So here we go. Sunny Balclutha. Now it could do with, still needs some work, obviously. Needs to be color corrected. It's quite, the aerial images normally are a wee bit too blue for my liking, and they need to be perked up a bit and sharpened. But this is, at the moment, I mean, this is a good quality image. It wouldn't need much work. It just needs some auto-gen and the airport built. I think there are existing airports for Balclutha. I think that Laurie's done one. And I even think that maybe I did one as part of the VLC airfields, which I haven't yet tried dropping in here. But that just is meant to show how easy it is to go from downloading the image and building it into photo scenery, which sits nicely on the land. Just needs a bit of tweaking and a water mask and a beam mask maybe. Obviously, Balclutha is an exciting place. There's plenty of traffic running into it at the moment. Some of them not even able to stick to the road. They're in such a hurry. So there you go. That's a quick and dirty tutorial, which I will expand on the Flight Sim forum, and I'll certainly answer any questions about what to do from there. So thank you for your time.